We've got Stephen Smith
right now. Hello, everybody. This is Derek, and with me today is the only man who still thinks that road apples are an organic snack, Carl Mandrioli. They're not, buddy, but you keep eating them.
What are they? What are road apples?
Well, Google it.
Okay, Google it. That's very informative. Thank you. Welcome to the Backpacking Blisters podcast. With me today is Derek Somerville. He's a man who very generously hands out discount batteries free of charge.
Oh, that was just classic. Right away. Putting in the Carl Classic book I'm making.
Thank you. We got My Life Outdoors, Stephen Smith, one of our favorites on this episode. Yes.
Sorry. Yes. I'm sorry. I was bummed I missed this one because he's a fabulous individual.
Not only were you bummed, he was actually bummed.
What?
He's like, this is like, where's the, who's going to make fun of my beard? He's just looking for more sarcasm.
Where's the good part of the show? I get it. And I am sorry. I am sorry. The feeling was mutual. So
yeah.
Round 3, when we have him on again, I'm assuming we will, then I will make every effort to be there. So
yeah.
But I heard it was good. Fabulous.
Who told you?
Well, from you. And some might say you might have got a new friend. Is that possible? We're gonna talk about that.
He had an announcement, and we'll get to that. He had an announcement during the show. I don't know if it's big or not. You could decide, but it's big for him for sure. Big, maybe for me. I don't know. We'll find out. But
we'll see.
So this is based on a video he made called "I Dare You to Find Better Gear for Less."
Ooh.
And he legitimately dared people. He was offering an incentive. He's offering to get them the gear if they can come up with a better list of.
Did he know Did he know who he was talking to? I mean, you're like the garage sale deal master.
I was not his target audience there. No, I'm not the spreadsheet guy who's like meticulously looking at prices versus weights versus function versus fashion. That's not me.
Well, we know fashion's not you. That's true. Well, I'm excited to see what he had to say. That's he's definitely knowledgeable, right?
Definitely knowledgeable. Yeah. So the whole I dare you kind of thing. Were you that kid growing up? Did you dare people to do stuff? Did you
like triple dog dare?
Maybe
double dog dare, whatever that was. Right. I don't think so. I don't remember triple dog or well, I mean maybe a dare. I would do dares, but no, I wasn't huge on it. Were you like the daredevil? I was more the one doing the dare.
I think you kind of are. Maybe you don't realize it because I think our trivia punishments are dares, right?
For a middle-aged dare. Is that what that is?
Or elderly for your part?
It's not like a dumb dare, like back in the day. I dare you to jump off this roof of the house and do a flip into the pool. Something totally.
Oh my gosh,
we're never gonna do now.
Right. That's true.
Were you a daredevil growing up, or do you play it safe?
I would call daredevils thrill seekers, essentially, right? You're looking for the next big thrill. You're looking to kind of push the limits, adrenaline junkie, whatever. I'm not that guy. Definitely not that guy. I don't think you are either.
What do you mean? Adrenaline junkie? I don't know about a junkie. I used to be. Yeah, I mean, I've been skydiving multiple times, hang gliding, bungee jumping. Where you been?
Just because you're checking things off the list, you're like, I want to push the limits.
I mean, I think there's different variations of what you consider thrill seeking, right? I mean,
we're not going to come up with a rubric. We're not doing that right now.
What? That's half the fun, dude. You walking to the mailbox with one shoe tied, one shoe not tied is not daredevilish thrill seeking. That's for you, right?
Okay.
I might
you can prep the episode. Future episode, we'll call it Derek's Adventure Junkie Rubric. How about that?
Oh, geez. It's called Living Your Life and with no fear. But again, look, if getting takeout 4 times a week is not thrill seeking, dude. It's just irresponsible eating.
Is that the name of the future episode title? Is Live Your Life with No Fear by Derek?
you can circle back to that. That's fine.
Derek's Guide to Living Your Life free of fear as you shop at Costco.
Thrill seeking by Carl. Take your backpack to the grocery store and try not to get laughed at. That's you seeking thrills.
Oh my gosh.
I love it.
I know you don't care about these other backpacking trips I go on when you're not alone, but I literally just got back from a backpacking trip to Red River Gorge.
Let's talk. Okay. And
we're not going to talk about it. We're not talking about it on this episode. We're not.
I don't want to say one thing. Can we rank it though?
One of the guys who looked like he was pretty fit, said he was stinking sore after the trip. And I said, you know why? That's because you didn't take your backpack to the grocery store. Boom.
That's not why. But okay.
Okay, then you feel like if he had trained with backpack at the grocery store, like he would still be sore.
Just because you're fit doesn't mean you're not going to be sore, dude. You know,
I wasn't sore. I was fine.
Correct. Because
it's the grocery store.
Oh, it's not the grocery store. It's not the grocery store. Here, I honestly think it's because you exercise and use these hiking muscles regularly, right? Whereas like other people don't. They might go to the gym, exercise the big muscles, but there's lots of little intertwined. I love that you're laughing. There's lots of little muscles that you weren't working, but you are when you're hiking.
You contradict yourself constantly. Previous episodes, you're like, oh, like you need electrolyte drink mix, like for exercising. Why would you even need that, Carl? Now you're like, oh, now you exercise all the time using your hiking muscles. So I'm not sure.
Using your hiking muscles. If you can't piece that one together, I don't know. I can't really help you.
I can't piece your thought process from episode to episode together. I'm still working on that.
I'm right here. I'm right now. Okay, live in the present. I know you're not a thrill seeker, so be in the moment. And all right, well, understand that.
Let's get to it, man. Bible verse of the episode, Proverbs 20:14. Bad, says the buyer, but when he goes away, then he boasts. Are you the guy who likes to tell others about an amazing deal you got?
Ooh, I have to admit, sometimes there are those times where I'm like, dude, I got this great deal. Where, you know, I know you love doing that. You just texted me today. You just texted me today some crazy thing you sold.
No, it's sold, not bought, though.
Not bought, but you've told me what you've bought for great deals at garage sales. You're not proud of those purchases?
I mean, I don't share. I share sparingly, I would say.
Okay, that's fair. Like, I'm not sharing everything.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm boasting. If I come across as boasting, I apologize. I'm not trying to.
I mean, you were pretty excited when you bought like a exercise equipment set for like dirt cheap. Now
that was like, the first one where I didn't know what I was doing and I thought I knew something, and then I bought some weights for like whatever it was, $45.
Yeah, you were excited.
I was able to flip it for like whatever, $200.
Yeah, $200-$300. You're excited about that. Yeah. And now you didn't use the weights. And again, referring back to my earlier point, like if you don't work out your bicep for a while and then you suddenly use your bicep, you're going to be sore. Hence the backpacking trip with the sore muscles.
Life wisdom by Derek right there. If you don't exercise your bicep and then you use your bicep, you will be sore. Well done.
The bicep,
well done, as always.
That's okay. That's just growing, Carl. That's just growing. Yeah?
All right, let's get to it. Stephen Smith, always a wealth of knowledge. One of our favorite folks have on the show. Here we go. With me today is the man who is dominating YouTube with one of the fastest growing and best backpacking channels ever. Stephen Smith, how's it going, my friend?
It's going really well. Thanks for having me on the podcast.
Hey, man, it's our honor for sure, always. So,
yeah.
All right, you're always putting out content, videos, whatever, that always like they suck me in. Like, I'm a big fan of yours. I watch your stuff. So I want to know, according to you, what is a secret to your success?
I have no idea. I thought I knew at one time, like for real, like I really have no idea. I thought I knew, and I started trying to tell other people because people would ask me, be like, "Oh, how can I do that?" And I'll be like, "Well, you need to do this. Like, you need to do that." And then they would do it. And then it didn't work for them. And I was like, well, I don't know anymore. So I don't know.
Okay. Well, what did you think you knew? What's one thing that you think you knew that you tried telling people that didn't end up working out?
So the long time I thought it was thumbnails, you know? So like thumbnails is when I really started paying attention to thumbnails. It's when I saw a lot of results on my channel. And so I was like, oh, it's all about the thumbnail. And I do think that there's still a lot to do with thumbnails. But then I would like help people make thumbnails and it'd be awesome. And I'd be like, well, there you go. Like, just wait, just sit back and relax. It's going to start raking in. And it never did. And so I was like, well, then it's the hook. Like, you got to have a better hook, you know? And so I'd help people with the hook, and then like they get the hook. And then I'd be like, yeah, dude, like this is an awesome video. And then nothing. I'd be like, well, then it's retention and like none of that. So, I mean, I think it's all those things, but then there's something else that is eluding me. And so I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But
I know what the answer is. I have the answer, my friend. I know.
What is it?
Okay, before I tell you, I'm going to tell you what I've heard about you. What people say, it is the thumbnail, so that picture that wants to make you click on it, that's definitely like part of the, I mean, all this is part of it, right? Trying to hook them in, obviously, is part of it. And then the attention to detail that you take with editing, that's definitely part of it. And kind of, you know, you just craft a really good video. So all these things help. But in watching one of your recent videos, I think I know what sets you apart from everybody else. And this is something that I think a lot of people think they have, but they really don't. I think you are a master storyteller.
You really think so?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say
the beard. You not agree? Yeah.
Yeah.
The beard's helpful. That's definitely that's a help.
Because I was like waiting for the sarcasm, and I was like, it's gotta be the beard, or it's gotta be something. But no, you're serious. No. You think I'm being serious?
Yeah. I know you expect the sarcasm. I'm sorry. I was like this big buildup, and then I'm gonna drop a bomb on you. No. But I've been really like I've been paying attention to your videos, and I've been really like in the last, I don't know, year or so, I've been really paying attention to people's storytelling techniques. And like when you get sucked into a story and you don't want to leave, whoever is crafting that like has a skill that is, I don't know that you can like quantify that. You can't tell people how to be a better storyteller, right?
I think you can, but I don't know how to, because I don't know how I do it. And so if you are correct that I am quote unquote a master storyteller, which I don't necessarily believe that I am. I think I can tell a good story, but I don't know that I'm a master.
Well, I don't think it takes a lot to be a master. Here's why. Is because, so here's all it is. This is from my non-mastery of this skill. This is my perspective. Is you need to tell a story. You got to have the beginning, the middle, the climax, the end, and it has to go in that order, right? And the story has to be good enough to want to stick with it the whole time. But and then you of course you can add the hook, and you can add the bells and whistles and stuff. But you have to go in that order. If I tell, so we've had a number of folks on our show. And if I ask them to tell a story, so many people jump to the climax. The first thing they tell you is the climax, and now everything else is less interesting. And so if you give away the most interesting part at the beginning of the story, like why do you need to know the rest, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I literally, we just had somebody on, I'm not going to name names. We had somebody on where I actually tried coaching him through this because it was going to be like more of a story-based show. And so I said, okay, I kind of was like beginning, middle, climax, end. And the first thing he said was he just couldn't handle himself. He's like, climax right away. And anyway, so that's my theory, secret to your success. You can take it for what it is, but that's kind of my interpretation. So that's why I think I like watching your videos so much. And one of the ones that really hooked me in was the one, I think you titled, I Dare You to Find Better Gear for Less. And you got me right away. I was like, okay, this is like, not only is it a challenge, but you had like an incentive going, kind of like tied to this. So there's kind of a lot going on with this video. So
yeah,
like in a nutshell, what is this video all about?
So, I mean, really, okay. So I don't know, maybe I am a master storyteller. I don't know, but the idea for that video simply came from, I was trying to find a budget gear list. Right. And I try to find budget gear lists all the time because I feel like that's just something that has like a lot of really good value for my audience. And so if I can find a nice, good budget gear list, then I want to talk about that. And it's actually really hard to find. And I know because I'm looking pretty much all the time trying to find, that gear that I'm thinking is gonna work great. And so I found what I felt like was a pretty decent list. And because I spend so much time looking for it, I was like this is a hard to beat list. And I knew that if I just came out and I just said, like, hey, budget gear list, like people are gonna be like, I don't care. Right. And so that's the thing, is you got to find a way to make the people care, that you got to find a way to interest them in whatever it is that you're talking about. And so that's what I came up with to interest people was, like, I bet you can't find it for less. And I knew that people probably could find it for less. But I was also motivated to know about that, to learn about that, because I mean, if I spend all this time looking for budget gear lists and I have such a hard time finding it, if I have all these people that are also now looking for a budget gear list, well, then that's just another video for me to make and, put out great content. And so I was highly motivated to get other people sending me stuff. And so I was just like, I bet you can't beat this, knowing that someone was probably going to, and knowing that even if no one did really beat it in my mind, that I was going to say that, not that I was going to lie, but I was going to be like, okay, like this is the best list that came out of the submissions, if that makes sense. And so,
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So the whole, like, I dare you, like, were you that kid growing up, like daring kids to do stuff and put people in uncomfortable
No,
or precarious circumstances?
I was too socially anxious to do stuff like that. So,
okay. So now you're confident. So now you're happy to be like, all right, go shopping online, folks.
There's this internet barrier, you know? I mean, like the internet makes everybody more confident, right?
It does. I think it freaks people out. Maybe it made you more confident. That's funny. I don't think I've heard it phrased that way. Okay.
Oh,
so yeah. So, okay. So did you have anybody like take you up on this? Did anybody come back at you with like a better list? Okay.
Yeah. I've got dozens, if not hundreds of submissions. And so I've got an assistant that helps me and she's been compiling all the different lists, and I've been going through them as she gets them compiled and just looking through them. And I've been trying, and it's taking a long time. And I know that people are, you know, anxious to see, you know, like, well, did anyone do it? And I can almost guarantee, someone has done it. I just got to figure out which one is the best out of the people that have done it. And so I'm going through all those, trying to figure out which one's the best. And then I'm going to have to buy the gear, and I'm going to have to use the gear. And then I got to make the video. And so it's a longer process than I think I or anyone else really realized.
Yeah. Where do you draw the line with stuff though? Because you could buy some gear that is budget gear, but it's just junk. It's lightweight, but it's not going to last. And so that's why you want to use it, right? It's just to make sure it's legit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and I mean, and a lot of the gear I'm familiar with already, you know, and so like I can look through some of these lists and be like, no, you know, but then some of them I can be like, oh, well, yeah, okay, that's a really good combination of gear, you know, or that's a really great big three, or, you know, whatever the case may be. And so, and then there's a few that I'm like, okay, I may not have personal experience with gear, but I go look up the stats and I can get a good idea, you know, from the stats and stuff like that, if it's going to be a good option, but then I'm going to have to use it and all that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, it's just taking a long time.
You're all in on this. You're willing to get the gear. You're willing to try it out. You're willing to put whatever that, you know, winner's list is to the test. So this is really impressive.
Yeah.
Without giving away what you've put in the video. Like, I don't want, you know, like we'll have the link of this video in our show description. Is there like, you know, kind of a favorite item or something that we should check out as far as like something where when you first started thinking about, okay, putting this video together, this is an item for sure I'm going to have on the list. This is something a lot of people should consider buying if they don't already have it.
You know, so, I mean, my two favorite items on that list are certainly the pack and the quilt. Now, the quilt is not what I would consider a budget quilt, but as part of the list, and one of the reasons why I was confident enough to say, like, it's going to be hard for you to beat this list is because I managed to get Garage Grown Gear to give an 11% discount on all the gear. And so what I did was I went ahead and I found some of the cheapest gear that is available on the market. And then I got Garage Grown Gear to go ahead and give another 11% discount that, as I said in the video, that never goes away. To the best of my knowledge, Garage Grown Gear has agreed to, as long as that video is live, they've agreed to give that discount on that specific gear. And so, like, if you want, I'm like, and they don't give discounts. I mean, they give discounts, like they'll do sales, you know, like in the fall or the spring and stuff like that. But this is like year round, 365 days, you can get an 11% discount on that gear. And so, and really what it was is I was trying to get below $1,000. And so I was like, okay, $1,000 all in, like that's a good, you know, dollar amount. And I just couldn't do it, you know, the way that I wanted to. And so that's when I approached Garage Grown Gear, and I was like, all right, like we're 11% over. If you'll give me 11% discount, then we'll make it, you know.
We'll give you exactly 11%. Okay.
Yeah. And it wasn't
that's what
exactly
you said in the video. So, yeah.
It was a little more than that. And they actually came up with the number 11 because I was saying 10, and they were like, well, let's do 11. And I was like, okay, all right, let's do it.
Deal. So that's what I found that interesting. So as long as your video is live, the deal is that we can get that discount on the specific year. So I think one of the pack you mentioned, it was the Gossamer Gear.
Gossamer Gear Gorilla.
The Gorilla. That's the 50-liter one, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that was,
I was looking at that pack.
Yeah. And so when I first started trying to get a lighter loadout, that was the pack that I was drawn to. And so I was like, I think I want the Gorilla. And so like I was looking at different reviews, looking at different packs, and a big reason why I wanted it was because of the price. And I called them up and I was like, hey, I want to order this. And they were like, it's out of stock, but we have Mariposas in stock. And so I was like, okay. And so that's the 60 liter, a little bit bigger. It's their more popular backpack. And so I got the Mariposa, and that was my first sub 2 pound backpack that I ever had, was the Mariposa. And so so I've always had like this, I don't know. I've always really liked the Gorilla ever since that first time. I just couldn't get it in time for that trip that I was wanting to use or whatever. So
So are you bringing? Yeah. And that 50 to 60 liters, that's kind of where I'm at on a 4-day backpacking trip into the Rockies. What capacity are you bringing typically?
50 liters is kind of like my sweet spot. And so like I've done a few 40 liter packs and I'll be okay. But like, I feel like I'm like really, I don't know. I feel like I'm cramped in a 40 liter pack with the stuff that I'm bringing. And some of that is because, I mean, like Dyneema tents and stuff like that, like they're a little bit bulkier, than a nylon or a poly tent, still poly tent. And so 50 liters, I mean, with food and all the different stuff and like camera gear and stuff that I bring, 50 liters is kind of my sweet spot, 50 to 60.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. All right. That's one I'm definitely checking out. That was kind of my takeaway on that video, is like, that's the one that I might be looking at this year, especially if, for any longer distance, kind of more ultralight trips I'm looking at going on. But,
yeah, for sure.
All right. One of the other videos you put out recently that kind of hooked me in, that I've always wanted to know about. I'm surprised. I don't know if anybody else has done this before, but it was the video where you tested the actual capacity of backpacks, where you were like spraying water into them, and then you were kind of gauging like, how many liters was actually going into the backpack. I've always wondered because, to be honest, what's made me doubt it is some of the smaller packs, or like the running packs I get. They're like, this is 7 liters or 10 liters. I'm like, there's no stinking way you're getting that much in there. And so you actually tested out, obviously, backpacking backpacks. So, like, what were your final conclusions about listed capacity versus actual capacity?
So my recollection of that video is that most of the packs got really close to their listed capacity. Now, what I did not realize whenever I was filming that, but a lot of people let me know in the comments, is that a lot of those brands will tell you, that if it's a main compartment, or if they're including the outer pockets in that capacity. And so they'll, like if you like dig down into the fine print or whatever, it'll tell you that that's like, I think the Mariposa is a 60 liter pack. And I think they say that that's like 40 liters main compartment, and the rest of that is like the outer pockets on the Mariposa,
like the mesh pockets and stuff.
Yeah, like the back mesh and the 2 side pockets and all that kind of stuff. But what I found was, like, I got really close to 60. In fact, I think I got 60 liters in the main compartment. I just couldn't get it completely closed. And so if I would have stopped at 55 liters, or even like 58 liters, I think I could have closed that. Now, I mean, like it was super tall, like you would have been, kind of doing this, on the trail, unless you had like, I don't know, because you're supposed to put heavier stuff up top, so you'd have to play around with it. But but you could get pretty close to 60 liters into that main compartment, and then the rest of it was just gravy on top of that. And so, but almost all pack manufacturers apparently will tell you what the main, how they're breaking it down. And so main compartment is whatever, and then the pockets are whatever and stuff like that. And what made me want to do it was that I have 2 backpacks that are my favorite, and it's the Z-Packs R-Call 60 and the Osprey Exos Pro 55. And what I'd noticed, like, because I go back and forth between those two a lot, and what I've noticed is that the Exos Pro 55 liter pack felt larger. It always felt larger than the 60 liter Z-Packs. And so I was like, somebody's lying. And so that's what motivated me to.
That's the inspiration.
Yes, that was the inspiration. And then like, and I was doing a video about a bunch of ultralight packs, and so I was like, you know what, I'm going to figure them all out. But the thing, so here's the other thing that people educated me in the comments, that I knew this, but I don't know, like it escaped me during the production of this video. Everyone was like, just weigh the water, like put the pack on a scale and just put the water, like water has, a standard weight, and you can do the math and you can figure out how many liters are in the water, which I think, like, we're not, because we're from the States, like we're not metric people. We're the imperial. And so, but in the metric system, like a liter of water, I think 1 liter of water is 1 pound. And so like it's super easy math, you know? So you get 55.
Wait, no, 1 liter's gotta be 2 pounds, right?
No, it couldn't be a pound because pounds imperial. What is it? A liter is
a kilo?
A kilogram. That's what it is.
Yeah.
So a liter is a kilogram. Right. And so, you know, 55 liters is 55 kilograms. And so it would have been easy math to do it that way. But I didn't think that way. And so I bought.
And you had the gauge on the hose.
I bought a gauge on the hose, yeah. And I was thinking like this is the easiest way to do it. Because originally when I had the idea, I was thinking I'm gonna have to like get like a beaker and like pour it in, you know, like 1 liter at a time. And I was like, that's gonna take forever. And so that's when I came up with the gauge. And the whole time I wasn't thinking about the weight.
Come on, man. The gauge is way better than like putting the pack on a scale. Like I think the gauge is cool. I was like, this guy really cares. He's you know, the accuracy is important. So I like the gauge. I think that's better.
Well, good. I'm glad. I like the gauge too, because it was really difficult to keep once you got because I think it was like for like a 60 liter pack, that's like 120 pounds of water. And so once you get 120 pounds in a backpack, it starts getting really difficult to control. And so
and then if you had one of those like luggage scales and you're trying to lift it up, you'd have to have somebody helping you to hold it, and still like 120 pounds. Come on, man. That's so, and then like to try to, you know, balance it with the scale. That's just clunky. So I like the gauge. I think that's cool.
Yeah.
So
well, anyway, I appreciate that.
Well done on that video. I was super interested in how you did that. And then like you said, so some of those packs fill up super tall, but I don't know if they all count that as actual capacity for the pack, but I don't know, I had like a Hyperlight pack. I think it was last year, and maybe it's just my own ignorance not knowing how to pack it, but I did pack it up. Not as tall as you had it, but taller. It went above my head. And so I was hitting like tree branches all the time. And I was like, why does everybody love this pack? I was getting super annoyed with it. I didn't get it. So anyway.
Well, I do think that they don't, because I mean, you know, like some of those are super tall, and I was just going off of whether or not I could get it closed with that much water in there. But I do think that they give you a lot of especially on those roll top packs, they give you a lot of room to roll. And so, if you load them up that much, but I mean, but I'm also thinking, you know, like if you're like a through hiker and you've got like a week or 2 week stretch where you're not going to find another resupply point. I mean, you're going to be loading that thing up with food and water and everything else. And so like, I do think that matters to some people.
Depends on what kind of through hiker you are. I'm not sure if you were, we had the guy on who had the 3 pound base weight trying to do the calendar year triple crown. And so he was just tying grocery bags to his pack. That's that. He made it 5,000 miles. So
well, I hiked with a guy one time that carried a pillowcase full of canned soup in his right hand. Okay. And that's what he ate the entire time we backpacked. And he just carried that pillowcase the whole time in his hands and ate that soup. And so like there's different ways to do it.
After you were on YouTube, or is this like back in the day?
This is long before I was on YouTube. Yeah.
You got to get that guy on your channel. You got to go back with him. Go with him again. That'd be super interesting.
I don't remember his name. Oh my! So this guy amazed me. Okay, so he came with it, like he just showed up to this trip that we were going to do, and like a friend of a friend or something like that, and he had like a JanSport school backpack on, like not even like a JanSport backpacking pack, just like something you'd send with your kids to school, and had a blue tarp from Home Depot that he didn't even pitch. He just like laid under it like a blanket. Had no sleeping bag, no sleeping pad, so like nothing insulated from the ground. Just had this blue tarp as a blanket and a pillowcase of canned soup, and that, I mean, that was his gear. And he was like, "Let's go," and he did. I mean, like he survived. He did great. So
he made it.
He made it.
The willpower can overcome a lot of our own poor planning mistakes.
Yeah, he was also young. I think he was 19 years old at the time.
There you go.
Yeah, 19-year-olds, they can do anything.
When I was doing the Jamir Trail back in the day, I think I was like 22. There was like the legend of this guy who was, I think, ahead of us, but like had been seen by all these hikers hiking the opposite way. He was called the Payday Man, and he didn't have a backpack. He just carried his sleeping bag underneath his right arm, and in his other arm, he just carried a bag, and the only food he had were Payday candy bars, and that was it.
Yeah,
and he just hiked the Jamir Trail. So
just I don't know, not my Payday candy bars.
That's it. Not my style. I don't want the canned soup either, but kind of funny.
You're right.
So,
yeah.
All right, last video I want to talk to you about is one that, like, I think we've done an episode on this. It's basically about like backpacking gear to avoid. And these always tend to get big hits because people want to know, they don't want to make a mistake. They don't want to buy something that's going to break on them, that's non-functional, whatever. So it's been a little while. I don't know if you remember. You could even come up with a different answer than what your video has, but from your gear expert perspective, what is your #1 item that you think everybody should avoid buying, whether for function, durability, whatever?
You know, so I mean, I've changed my mind on this because I used to recommend this pad, but I have since decided that it's not worth recommending. And the only reason I recommended it, going back to the budget gear list, is because it's like the budget pad, and that's the Climate Static V. And so the Climate Static V, and I think in that video, so I'm like the Static V, the regular Static V, like it's an all right pad for if you're going to be doing summer backpacking, you know, like you can handle that pad and it's going to be fine. But the insulated V is the one that I put on there. And so it's like twice the price of the regular Static V, which is still cheap. Like I think it's like $100, which for sleeping pads, like it's hard to find a sleeping pad less than $175, right? But the insulated Static V is $100, and they claim that it has a 4.4 R value. And so I don't know how gear nerdy your audience is, but 4.4 R value is pretty good insulation. But that's only in the air baffles, and so they got big gaps between the air baffles that just has whatever it's made out of, whatever that pad's made out of, like nylon or whatever it is. Like it's just a thin layer of nylon, and it lets cold air, cold ground, and all that kind of stuff up through those, and so you get all these cold spots. Like I've even gone as far as putting an infrared camera on it and like seeing all these different cold spots on that pad. And so the 4.4 R value, that's Climate's R value. They just decided, you know, they're just like, it looks like a 4.4 pad. And like we put a lot of insulation in there. But if you do the ASTM standard, which is a third-party standardization of sleeping pads, it is only a 1.3, maybe a 1.4 R value. It's less than 2, which a closed cell foam pad is a 2 R value. And so this pad that is their high dollar insulated version is less than a closed cell foam pad. And it's just nowhere near what they're claiming. And so to me, it's one of the biggest scams in the backpacking world. And so that's the main piece of gear that I would say stay away from. And even the regular Static V, like they're 23 inches wide instead of 25. I really think you should go with 25. I think they have a 20-inch too, but their wide version is 23 inches. And I slept on one recently for a video that I was doing that was all like Amazon deal gear, and I was like, man, this really is not a great pad. And so but I've recommended it before in budget loadouts because the regular one's like $50 or $60, and it's really hard to beat that.
Right. So so you're saying like for summertime budget gear, like maybe the regular version, but the kind of higher and insulated version, scam.
Yeah, it's a scam. Yeah, so I mean, the regular version I think has like a 1 R value. The ASTM rated R value is like 1, and then you get like 0.3 more R value for twice the money. And so it's a scam, and it weighs more because it's got insulation in it. So it's stupid.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like Climate was at the Outdoor Retailer show last year, or their parent company was, or something. Did you talk to them at all?
No, I didn't talk to them. No, I mean, I went in there. I went into the booth and looked around, but no, I didn't talk to him.
You get this like look of disgust as I ask this question. Why would I talk to those guys?
I mean, I would talk if they wanted to talk to me. I would talk to them, but I'm not the kind of person that like goes in to a booth and being like, well, you know, I'm Steven from My Life Outdoors. You know, like
I didn't say you just do it that way. You could just ask and be like, hey, I don't know when you came to this conclusion about the pad. Maybe this is after the fact, but I'm just thinking you could ask them like, hey, why don't you go to the standard grading for the R value? Why don't you get this third party tested? Why don't, you know, like.
Well, they do because they list it on their website.
But then are they misrepresenting it? That's why you think it's a scam, because they're misrepresenting.
Used to, they would just list their R value. Now, if you go on their website, they list their R value 4.4, and then in parentheses, they have ASTM 1.3 or whatever it is.
Oh, interesting.
I think it's 1.3. I'd have to go look. And so I think they got a lot of flack about their 4.4R value. So they started putting it on the website, but it's not on the packaging to the best of my knowledge. Like if you like just went and picked one up at, like, I think they sell them at Academy. Like if you went and picked one up at Academy, like you wouldn't see that. You'd have to go on their website to know that you're getting scammed on that.
And you're not the guy to confront them at the outdoor retailer show, you're saying?
No, I'll confront them in a video all day long, but I'm not gonna I'm not gonna walk up in person. I need that digital courage we were talking about earlier. The internet, the separation.
I try to confront people in a nice way. We like Buff was at the show one year, and I'm not a fan of Buff. I'm like I their product's fine, but you know, $40 to $50 for like a shirt sleeve, like I think it's a ripoff. And so I was trying to get a hold of Buff for years to try to get them on our show just so they could kind of like defend themselves because we were constantly attacking them. And so, but I couldn't get a hold, like they wouldn't answer their phones. And so I just challenged the lady. I said, hey, I'm going to interview you. And then if you know, like, let's call customer service while I'm talking to you. If they pick up, then I'll buy you a stick of your favorite deodorant. And then if they don't pick up, then you got to give me a free Buff. And she's like, of course I'll take that bet. Like we have the best customer service. And, you know, like 7 minutes in on hold, like they weren't picking up. So yeah. So
you got a free Buff?
So I got a free Buff. And then I gave it away because I don't like the Buff. I think we gave it away as like a podcast thing. But yeah, I know the YouTube thing. Like, I guess I learned this last year is when you and Justin Outdoors were there, you guys were there and you're like looking for things and then you're making the video versus I'm looking to have the conversation. So I know it's a different vibe. So I don't know. I was just kind of curious your perspective, but okay. Well, that's good to know.
Reminds me, like real quick, I'll tell you, like Nemo, like I've got a pretty good relationship with a representative from Nemo. At least I feel like I have a good relationship. Okay. She may feel differently, but like I've made her, I would say, I think it's fair to say I've made her mad. I've definitely made her anxious because the last several videos that I've done with Nemo products in, like they have not been very favorable videos. And she's
like the chair?
The chair was one. And so she sent me that chair and I was like, hey, it's not good. And then, so what started it all, which I didn't even feel like was a bad video for Nemo, but she didn't like it. Was the freezer video. Did you see the freezer video where I was testing, where I was slept on a freezer with, I
saw I didn't click on it, but I saw the thumbnail where you're inside the freezer.
Why didn't you click? Okay. What was the matter with the thumbnail?
I can only watch so many videos, Steven. I'm behind.
But the storytelling.
What's wrong with the thumbnail?
The storytelling, like it's no. So, but like, I don't care that you didn't see it, but I did that video and I had the, what was it? The new Nemo Tensor Extreme Conditions. And what made me buy the freezer. Okay. So you've had Justin from Justin Outdoors on the podcast before, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So he's a good friend of mine.
Yeah, he's our friend, man. He's a buddy.
Yeah. So we talk often, Justin and I do. And he was telling me how he was going to take it to a glacier up in Canada and he was going to like sleep on it on this glacier. And I was like, man, I was just so jealous that I wanted, like, I didn't have access to a glacier to go test this thing. So I was like, I'm going to buy a freezer big enough for me to sleep in. I'm going to test it that way. And so I did. And it was a big failure. And so like, there's nothing wrong with Nemo. Like I had other pads that I was like comparing it to and all of them were cold. There was something wrong with the way I was testing them in the freezer. But, and I pointed all that out, but they had just released the pad and she was like, this is making the pad look bad. And it's all for like this publicity stunt of you sleeping in the freezer. And I was like, I wasn't trying to do a publicity stunt. Like I was just trying to make good content on YouTube and
can't you come back at her with stats? Like, don't you have clicks from that video that you can share with her? Like, well, if you think that X amount of people have actually clicked on, you know, the product, so you're actually wrong.
So at the time, it was a pre-release pad. It was a what's the word? It's not pre-release, but it hadn't been released to the public yet. So she gave me
pre-sale,
a pre-production pad to test, so that you know, like I can get content out as the pad's being released. And that was one of her. That was one of the things that made her irritated. Was she was like, I only have so many of these, and I gave one to you, and you did this stunt that made us look bad, and and I was just like, I'm really sorry. You know, I was just trying to make the best content I can. And I think ultimately she ended up understanding that. And I got on a call with somebody from Nemo, and they were like, "Hey, we thought the video was great, you know, blah blah blah, and all that kind of stuff." And I ended up sending that pad back, and I think they found some problem with it, and so like it was just this whole thing. But all that to say, like I've made Nemo a little irritated with me because I just haven't positively reviewed something in a while.
But I think that should be endearing to everybody else out there, because then they can understand that if somebody sends you a free piece of gear, that doesn't obligate you to either make a nice video about it or even just like not do the video at all. Like, you're willing to tell the truth, so that way we can trust your judgment, right?
Well, and I'm actually kind of glad that we're talking about this, because I get a lot of comments saying that I'm just a shill for these companies and all that kind of stuff. And I've actually felt like I felt like I'm close to burning a bridge with Nemo, to the point that they're not going to send me any gear anymore, because they just, you know, it's not worth it to them. And so I've actually thought, like, if I want to review Nemo gear going forward, I may have to start, you know, buying it myself, which, you know, people have feelings about that. But anyways, and I thought, I mean, that's a sacrifice that, you know, that I'm willing to make, because I'm not gonna allow that to influence the stuff that I'm putting out there. Like, you can send me, and that's the thing I don't think people realize, is that people are like, oh, well, you get this free gear and it's gonna, like, you know, like, you got all this bias, like, you know, for the piece of gear because you want the free gear. And I'm like, you don't understand. And I'm not trying to brag. Just stop me if it sounds like I am. But I get a lot of free gear. And free gear is not a big motivator. Like I have more gear than I can use. I give it away a lot of times, and it's just because, I mean, like, you know, I mean, I don't even know. It's like offering a mermaid water. You know, I mean, like, that's not gonna gonna motivate the person. I don't know how good of a metaphor that was, but someone that came to my mind. So,
but that's what you want. Like, if you're gonna be motivated by the free gear, then you're more likely to give a biased review. So you want somebody who's gonna have that lack of bias, for sure.
Yeah.
And I don't know how unbiased I am, because I'm more like relationship based. If I make a positive relationship with the company and we're connected, like, it just makes me want, I'm like rooting for the company now. And so it makes me want to have positive, you know, vibes or reviews or whatever going for the company. So I'll typically not review things, or I'll look for the good in it. But if something's just really bad, then that's when I'll have the chat. So, but we typically are trying to connect with companies we already like. So it's not going to be super common that they're giving us some junk, I guess. But yeah. Anyway, that's my disclaimer. So interesting. Okay. Interesting kind of behind the scenes story there with Nemo. I connected with them at the Denver media show, but they didn't make the cut on that episode. So I'll have to talk to you more about that later. But anyway, okay. So, like, you're all okay. You mentioned like getting the freezer. You mentioned, you know, like, you're always looking to kind of get that edge for the next great video. And I imagine, like, do you have kind of like a lineup of videos you're planning to make in the future?
I've got kind of an idea list that I keep on my phone, and then I've got ideas that are rattling around in my head all the time. And so, like, I've got a couple of videos right now I'm working on that I'm excited about. All right. And and one of them, actually, it kind of relates back to what we were talking about a moment ago, because, like, I'm doing some in-depth testing of some Gore-Tex right now. And what's funny is that the bias that we talk about, like, people think that I have bias because I get the free gear. But I think that there's a huge amount of confirmation bias that goes into you buying an expensive piece of gear. And because you spent a lot of money on it, you now think, well, it's got to be good, because if it's not, then I wasted my money. And nobody wants to believe that, right? And so you have this confirmation bias. And I think that's what, from the early testing that I've done with Gore-Tex, I think Gore-Tex has a huge amount of confirmation bias. And so Gore-Tex is some of the most expensive gear that you're going to buy, right? Maybe not boots and gloves and stuff like that, but like you buy a Gore-Tex jacket, you're forking out some really big money for it, right? And like, you spend $400 or $500 on a Gore-Tex jacket, like, you're going to convince yourself this thing works, because otherwise you wasted your money. And from some of the testing I'm doing, I'm not convinced that Gore-Tex does, which I'm not, like, I don't have anything conclusive yet, but I don't think it works as well as everyone thinks that it does.
I mean, just from like anecdotal evidence over the years, I can tell you that it's never worked for me. And I looked into the science behind it. I'm sure you'll do all the testing. So I'm curious to see how that pans out. But yeah, I don't buy Gore-Tex stuff personally. So that's kind of my own.
Well, do you buy like the discount membranes? I mean, do you use membrane type rain gear when you hike?
So all I want is, I just want something that's waterproof. I don't care if they say it's breathable. I think the science behind it is that I mean, we did an episode on this, and so I probably sounded way smarter than I'm about to sound right now. But basically, from what I gather, if it's raining outside, so it's raining on you and you're sweating on the inside of your jacket, the thought of like the rain getting repelled, but then the sweat getting pulled away from your skin or your shirt or whatever, and then it going through the jacket out, I think like scientifically, it can't happen. So I think it can happen if it's snowing outside, but then at that point, you're not like the jacket's not keeping you dry. It's just keeping the snow off. And so I don't know. There's kind of multiple factors going on there.
Yeah.
Does any of that sound reasonable or right?
Yeah. And so that's kind of like I'm giving away my video a little bit, but that's kind of my hypothesis is that when humidity is high outside, which it is anytime it's raining, like you're not going to get evaporation through the jacket because water can't really evaporate when humidity is high because the air is already saturated with water. And so it's got nowhere to go.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So I'm just looking for just like a waterproof jacket, and then, I can always swap out my shirt later, I suppose. But okay. So I asked you about your list though. And so I've got 3 video ideas for you that you're welcome to add to your list or completely forget about. But my question is, which of the following would you be most likely to produce?
Okay.
Ready for this?
Yeah.
All right. A. This is like, these are kind of like working titles kind of / descriptions. All right.
Okay.
These tents say 4 seasons, but could they really hold up in winter in Antarctica? Let's find out. B. How I convinced Sawyer to make squeeze bags that don't immediately break. C. This is how tent companies use fear tactics to make you buy a footprint.
Ooh, okay. So the Antarctica one is really intriguing because I would love to go to Antarctica.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I think that would be
not too late.
That would be a watchable video. Like you would want to watch that. But the last one, the footprint one, like so I don't carry footprints. Do you carry a footprint?
No, we're like heavy set against them.
Yeah. So I think they're stupid. I think they're a waste of money and time. Right.
Right. But they're still selling, man. They're selling like hotcakes still.
Yeah. But man, like when you talk about that on a video, like people feel very strongly about footprints. And so I want to do some footprint testing because my motivation is like, I'm not going to argue with you in the comments, but like if I get enough people that I feel like are just wrong, I'm going to prove you wrong the best way that I can in a video. And I'm just going to go through and just try to be like, no, like it doesn't work. It's not worth it. And here's, concrete evidence to back me up. Right. So I've got a footprint video that I'm hoping to make sometime soon.
Okay. Are you to steal my title? Fear tactics?
Give me the title again. I got to hear it again.
It says, this is how tent companies use fear tactics to make you buy a footprint.
I don't know. That's not a bad title. I guess my hesitation is, are the companies are they pushing their footprints that bad? Like I haven't noticed that.
I mean, it's a fair point. Like definitely the sales clerks are, right? They're trying to upsell you. So I don't know if that's indirectly they're telling the sales clerks you need this and that sales clerks are doing that, or if they're just doing that on their own. Who knows? That's a good question.
Yeah, I guess I haven't dealt with a sales clerk in a really long time. So like I haven't gone.
Well, I used to be one, so I know how they roll.
So you're always pushing those footprints, huh?
But I was told you need this to protect the bottom of your tent. And then I think I read somewhere like, hey, they don't really do that much, or like your tent is already strong enough as it is. And so now I've been rolling with that one for decades, and I don't know how many backpacking trips, and I don't have any holes in the bottom of my tent. So I just have I don't have, like your science-based testing, but I just have anecdotal evidence, and I've never needed it.
Yeah. Well, and so, but the thing that gets me about them, and this is what I want to do the video about, is people claim that they prevent condensation on the inside of your tent, or they reduce condensation on the inside of your tent. And I'm like, how? Like, how does it do that? That doesn't make any sense to me.
Like it absorbs through the mesh.
I mean, I guess it's blocking any evaporation up from the ground, but I mean, so that's what I want to test. I want to test, like, does it make less condensation in a tent, or does it not? And then so I did a video not that long ago that I got a bunch of water inside my tent, and I had done a video like a week or two before that it was like, I'm not taking footprints, and I'm against footprints. And then I got all these comments that are like, well, if you would have had a footprint, you wouldn't have got all that water in your tent. And I'm like, no, like when we woke up, like the ground was dry when we went to sleep. When we woke up, we were in a puddle of water an inch deep, and there's no footprint that's going to, I mean, like the water is just going to be ushered underneath the tent when you're in a puddle like that. And so I'm like, there's no way. But people were like, it's a footprint. It's a footprint. Like you're an idiot.
Yeah.
So,
okay. I want to know, because I actually have not heard that. That sounds like a myth to me, but I haven't heard that one.
Yeah. So well, that's what I want to do the testing about.
And I've been bashing footprints for years, and we've gotten feedback where people are like, no, you got to bring one. What about sticks? What about rocks? But I've never heard the condensation ones. That's interesting. Yeah. So, okay. All right. Well,
well, never mind.
We kind of dug into some gear stuff here, man. This is good because it's helpful to have a gear expert on, so we can like, I'm learning stuff, and hopefully some folks out there learn stuff as well. But all right, you've kind of alluded to a couple videos you have coming out, but what else you got going on? Summer adventures or any other things we can look forward to coming out on the YouTubes? What do you got?
Well, we were talking about this right before we started the podcast, and we're moving to Colorado, and so I'm really excited about that and what that means for the channel. And so it's going to open up a lot more possibilities for me to be doing some really epic hiking and doing it more often. And so I'm really excited about that. It's taking up a lot of my bandwidth and my energy, the move, and like trying to sell a house and move and all that kind of stuff. And so I'm really excited to get there. I don't have a whole lot of trips planned. I'm planning on being at the Appalachian Trail Days. And so anybody that's watching this video and is going to Appalachian Trail Days, I'm planning on being there.
Right on.
And then I'm planning on doing some hiking in Colorado after we move. And so, I'm really looking forward to both those. But other than that, I don't have any super solid plans right now.
All right. Well, hey, thanks so much for taking the time. I know you get asked a lot to go on shows and you're in high demand. So really appreciate you taking the time to jump on our show, and anything you got going on in the videos, we'll happy to pump up as they come out, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Steven Smith, man, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining the show.
Yes.
So a lot, we dug into the gear stuff. Anytime we have a gear expert on, I don't know that he wants me calling him a gear expert, but anytime we have somebody that I think is a gear expert, I love digging in because I always learn something.
But he's a doer. I like that he's a doer. He's trying things. He's doing things.
He's not talking about it, you know? He's creative. He's got a lot going for him, man. He's a blessed individual. So, all right, here's my first question for you.
Okay.
So one of the things we talked about was he mentioned a sleeping pad that he thought was a scam because it didn't communicate its true R value on the packaging. It did on the website, but not on the packaging.
Okay.
What do you think about that? Is that a big deal for you? Little deal? Is it a scam, kind of scammy? Or you're like, I don't care as long as it's warm enough?
So just on the website, not on the actual package.
It had a misleading R value on the packaging.
I mean, anytime you're not putting everything out there, it appears kind of shady. Yeah, in my opinion.
Okay. Well, I mean, is that enough for you not to buy from that brand?
Not one time. No.
Okay.
Maybe they're trying to streamline more, and I don't know. Who knows? But I would. One time wouldn't be enough. No.
If you ever mustered the courage to go to the Outdoor Retailer show, would you challenge them face to face with that?
Yeah, I'd be like, hey, what are you guys trying to prove here with omitting this information? What's the goal that you have? We don't all spend hours a day online. Well, actually, we probably do. But some of us don't. You got me there. You know what I mean?
Your analysis of American culture and really world culture is not good.
Call me a liar. I mean, tell me that most of us don't spend hours a day on some kind of digital screen interface, right?
It's usually streaming, so it's not usually researching.
Yeah, well, either way. True, that's true.
Okay. All right. So you think it's kind of a big deal, kind of scammy. I don't know. I think
it appears scammy, but I wouldn't not buy something the first time. But to be fair, if I'm doing my homework and I see this with multiple items and they just do it all over like that, I don't know. I would probably not buy. To be fair.
Okay, let's do a kind of a scenario here. You're at REI. You've got your buddy Chris there. You're in the market for a new sleeping pad.
Yes.
And do you ask the question, what's the R value of this sleeping pad? Or do you ask the question, is this a warm sleeping pad? What do you ask?
I actually don't ask either, but
what do you ask?
I ask.
Okay, here's the question. Here's the third option. Here's what you ask.
Wait. Before you say it, I'm going to say it before you say it because I know you're going to say it.
What am I going to say?
Because I know you're going to be a jerk. I know you're going to be a jerk, so I'll say it for you. I will say, is this sleeping pad trailer proof? Is it going to fly out of a trailer?
That's not what I was going to say. Not at all. But that's a good one. That's a good one.
You like that one?
I was going to say, can you please recommend me the best sleeping pad for my summer adventures? And then I'll end up picking a different one anyway.
That's not bad either. That's true. Oh, that's good. Yeah, no, I don't know. Not many people I would think would even ask that. I think
the gear nerds are going to know about the R value, so they would care about the packaging. I think
the gear nerds, your standard hiker is going to ask like, how thick is it, right? Or how heavy is it?
When I was working at REI, I was working with a gear nerd, and he was explaining to every customer about like the process, how they waterproofed, tent, like whatever tent or like jacket, rain shells, and he just went into the weeds on everything. And I was like, people don't want all that information. And at the time, I don't think very many did. I think nowadays people do want that information. I think that kind of the gear nerd culture is growing. So I think that I would agree with Steven's assessment basically.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
All right. So we also talked about this, like the capacity, like the backpack capacity testing by spraying a hose.
Yeah.
What'd you think about that?
Well, one, did he use a liner for this water in the backpack? Or is it leaking out everywhere through the seams? It
wasn't leaking out everywhere. I forget what he used. I don't even know if he said
trash bag? Like a trash bag.
Maybe.
Plastic bag of some sort, right? Something
waterproof
to hold the water. I would hope
paper bag actually.
But this is what I'm talking about. He's a doer, and I like that he's like, let's just see if they're claiming the truth with this 30 liters or whatever it was, right?
This is the guy that, I think like of all the people out there that are on YouTube that do the research, he rented. You didn't even talk about this in the interview, but he rented a runway so that he could like strap tents on top of his vehicle for like wind tests. Like this is the man.
That's awesome. He reminds me of that show Mythbusters, but in the backpacking world, right? Like he's like, you ever see the show Mythbusters? The science people who experiment on everything.
Everybody's seen that show. Literally everybody's seen that show.
Everybody in the world. So I like that he's like physically going out and doing stuff. You kind of do stuff like this on a smaller scale, in my opinion.
Yeah, mine's more like sarcastic.
Is this water filter good? We're gonna try it, or something.
Should
like that.
Maybe I could be his teammate for like backpacking Mythbusters? Would he be Adam Savage or would he be Jamie Heineman or whatever his name is?
He might be Jamie Heineman. You call it Trail Busters, first of all, or Gear Busters. I don't know, but you could be his little right hand man. I think you could do that.
Well, they're both they both had equal standing, so it's not right hand.
Well, then that wouldn't be accurate, would it? Because he's a little bit. I don't know. Wouldn't you consider him far above you knowledge-wise on the gear front?
Yeah, but I would consider that I feel like I could hold my own with creative ideas for testing things.
I would agree. So, I think you guys could find a balance. The show would be moderately successful.
Steven, if you're listening to our reaction to the interview, I will humbly offer my services as the Adam Savage of the Trailbusters duo. He's probably not listening, so it doesn't really matter. But last thing he mentioned was he's moving. He's coming to Colorado.
Yes.
He's going to be a man. He already looks like one. And I might have somebody else to go backpacking with at some point. I'm hoping
you might have a new best friend. I'll be slid to number 2. What did he say? Where in Colorado? I don't know if I caught that.
He did not intentionally, actually.
Okay.
He does not want people knocking on his door.
When you're a big deal, I get that. Yeah.
Well, we had Shug on, I think it was like a year or two ago, and he talked about how people would just, like early on, he posted his address because people wanted to send him like chocolates or other things, and people would just like show up at his door.
Oh, okay.
And Shug has like a fraction of the number of subscribers that Steven has, so I totally get it, man. Like, imagine they're just like, I don't know, you're mowing the lawn or you're taking a nap on the couch, and then somebody's like, "Hi." That's unannounced. Kind of weird. I don't know.
Sounds like it's time for a PO. He needs a PO box or something, right?
Yeah. Well, he might, and maybe he'll get that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. Well, we got more to talk about that regard. We'll see if kind of how that shakes out. But before we get to trivia, I'm trying to do a review and episode, something new, maybe something you haven't heard of before. And so I've got these items right here.
Oh, yes.
Freeze-dried meals. Can you see that?
Gourmet. Yeah.
Stowaway gourmet.
Stowaway gourmet. I haven't tried those yet. I'm excited.
These actually were recommended by John Kelly. And so, so I tried one. And so I want to talk about it.
Are you going to tell me about the flavors or what flavors you have or what?
Yeah. So, I mean, they have a lot, but like they're just different. This is why you might want to consider them if you're looking for some variety. They make meals like bison beer, black bean chili, lamb bourguignon, or however you pronounce it. They have like fun names like Comrade Doganoff, like dough instead of stroganoff, like dough because they use venison.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah. Does that
I don't know.
Does that make it taste better?
Yeah. I haven't tried all of them yet.
Food advice with Carl Mandrioli on the Backpacking and Blister from his professional opinion. So creative names make it taste better. Got it.
They do for sure. So if you're looking for unique flavors, something different from your typical freeze-dried meals, they don't have like the mac and cheese, the super expensive mac and cheese. They've got different flavors. I'm not sure you can tell if you're watching on YouTube, but like the packaging, they're slightly smaller than the other packaging meals. There's not a lot of wasted space in there.
How many ounces or what's the size of the meal?
I mean, they're similar. So they're like in the 4 to 5 ounce range in terms of weight. And then in terms of like the calories, you're looking at like the 500 to 700 ish. So that's actually the sweet spot for some. And like my wife would prefer more of like a 500 calorie meal versus I want more like 700 to 800. So it just depends on where you're at and how hard your trail is.
Yeah.
They are on the pricier side. So you're paying for this is like premium stuff. This isn't just like your mountain house. You're going to go buy this down at Walmart. This is premium and you're paying for it and you're going to get the good quality flavors. Like these truly are yummy. And so you're looking at like in the $18 to $20 range. Premium.
It's like a full meal out in a bag.
It is. So, but again, if you're a frequent backpacker and you're tired of some of the same old, if you're, chili mac and beefing it up with people and just like farting all over them, you're looking to, have different scented farts, then
I feel like I'd be spending like
beer black bean chili.
I feel like I'd be spending like $40 a meal because I like a good 1,000, calories or more.
Is that what you're looking for? Is it 1,000?
I don't know. Sometimes. I
think definitely on the last trip you want more than 1,000. our Banff trip where we were burning calories like crazy. I think on our upcoming trip, I think you could probably get away with 700 to 800.
Yeah, I guess if I have snacks too, I could. Yeah,
for sure.
I got to plan my snacks better this time.
Okay, well,
definitely.
I believe in you. So anyway, Stowaway Gourmet, I'll have the link in the show description. Check them out. Again, different flavors, premium stuff.
Okay.
I recommend them. They're John Kelly's favorite. He likes one of the chilies is his favorite. So there you go.
That doesn't agree with me, but good for him.
Well, there's other options. Okay. Let me ask you that. So you looked at the website. If I'll buy you one, which one do you want?
I think if I had to pick one, I'd go Thai curry with shrimp, dude. Why don't you send me that one?
That does sound good. Maybe I'll get one for both of us. Okay. All right. So there you go.
One? Sounds good.
All right. So check it out if you're looking for some variety and for some high-end backpacking food.
Yes.
I've got Captain Obvious Daring Gear Trivia coming up right after this.
Ooh. Captain Obvious. Okay. Is this really Captain Obvious, or is this like Carl is going to fake you out?
I think it's Captain Obvious because it's stuff we've talked about on our show before, but you'll probably disagree.
I'll probably fail. It's fine.
Trivia update. I lost recently, so now so it's close. You have 6 losses to 5 as we approach the summer here. So it's really. So
I need a win today. I need a win.
You could use a win for sure. So, but I think you're going to win.
Okay.
So here we go. Number 1, rank the following pack brands in order from budget to premium.
Oh, I don't remember these. Okay.
I haven't even given you the brands yet. What's the problem?
Here we go.
Okay.
I know Osprey's on there, right?
It is. So there's Osprey, there's Teton, there's REI, and then there's Z-Packs. 4 of them.
I got to rank them in order? This is one question?
Budget first, all the way to the most premium.
Dude, this is not an easy question.
I think it's easy if you've been paying attention to our podcast, and since you're on the podcast, you should be paying attention.
Yes, and I remember everything that we talk about all the time. I'm going to start with budget. I'm going to start with REI.
Okay.
Oh, this now it's just like, I don't know. Let's see. I'm going to say, I don't know. I'm going to go Teton, Osprey, and then Z-Pack.
You were pretty close, man. So Teton's more like the Amazon brand. So that's the first one. So you just swap Teton and REI.
REI, really?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So Z-Packs for sure. So okay. All right. Well.
Yeah. So you weren't too far off. It's okay. It's still wrong, but that's all right.
Yeah. I'm gonna remember that type of question. Good.
I always get nervous asking. Remember that question? I always get nervous asking you non-multiple choice questions, so I'm about to ask you one. You really should know this, though. Like, I don't know why you wouldn't know this.
Just ask the question. This is what you do. You preface it, and then it's like kind of vague. Go ahead. It'll be a vague question.
Which famous kids obstacle course / trivia show did Mark Summers host in the 1990s?
We've talked about this on the podcast.
I think so.
No. I want to say kids.
You don't know this? Are you serious?
No, because I'm thinking it too. I want to say it's Double Dare.
Double Dare. Goodness gracious.
Double Dare.
We literally have the word dare in our episode. Okay.
All right. Calm down.
Okay, I'll calm down. All right. Number 3. Which piece of daring gear doesn't exist? There's 4 options. One of them doesn't exist.
Okay, go. Let's see.
A sleeping pad inflator.
Sleeping pad inflator? Okay, that exists. Yeah, I have one.
B, a device to move fuel from one canister to another so that you don't have to have partially filled canisters.
Okay.
C, a thermometer that dangles from your pack that actually works.
Is that part of wait, is that actually works part of the question?
Yeah. D, a smart strap monitor that detects and then communicates when a trailer loses an item.
Oh, geez. Here we go. Smart strap trailer.
Smart strap monitor. So on the monitor, it's like techie. It detects and then communicates when a trailer loses an item. Like when the strap comes loose, then you get a notification on your phone.
I'm going to say that doesn't exist. You're going to say
smart strap monitor?
Smart strap monitor for sleeping pads coming out of a trailer specifically?
It can be for anything.
Now it can be for anything.
This is what the problem is. Sleeping pads. I'll reread it. I'm going to read it. A smart strap monitor that detects and then communicates when a trailer loses an item.
You made this up. I know it. Here's the problem with this question right now. One, that was you that made that up, so I'm going to lean toward that one heavily. But then how many times on this podcast, if you are listening, have you talked about how the dangly thermometers just never, ever are accurate? They're pointless. So that could be it. And then fuel canister moving stuff. I mean, how many times on a trip have we brought half-used fuel canisters? This is why this is like the dumbest question in the world.
It's not. Everybody out there that's playing along knows exactly which one the correct answer is.
It's the trailer one.
Okay, so is that your final answer?
Yes. Trailer.
That is correct. Correct. So obvious.
It was obvious, but like I wanted to point out how lame that question was because I could easily have gone thermometer. Well, they don't work that great.
There's got to be. Well, I actually saw one on the recent trip that worked, but like of all the different brands, of course, one's going to work at some point, right?
You found that? Did you buy the fuel mover?
No, because I think they're kind of a hassle. But I see them online, like they have my whatever algorithm where they advertise to me all the time. Maybe you're not looking at enough backpacking stuff.
Maybe if you see one at a garage sale, you can get it. You know?
Yeah.
Save some money. Yeah.
Thanks.
So it's a pass. I'll take it.
You passed. You did it. See?
That's right.
I believed in you and it worked. All right. Thanks. We got 2 tidbits. I would like to welcome Pastor Mike to Patreon. That's right. Pastor Mike, Derek.
Wow. Pastor Mike.
Pastor Mike. Stomping grounds are Isle Royale National Park, Pictured Rocks, Michigan. Like he knows what he's doing. He's from Michigan. He's from south of Grand Rapids, and he just recently joined Patreon. He joined our B&B Bible study as well. those two are not the same thing. You don't have to join the Patreon to be in the BB Bible study. But anyway, so thank you for joining us. He gets folks together and goes on epic trips and has an awesome backpacking story. He's still new to it, so he's still figuring things out, just like we all are.
I genuinely thought that was your old cat, Pastor Mike, that joined Patreon.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I don't know if I've shared that story, but we had a pastor at a church a long time ago who was like a really good speaker, but he was a little like, I don't know, like not a goofy guy, I guess. And so we thought it'd be funny to name our cat after him. So we named our cat Pastor Mike back in the day.
Yeah. I thought you were planning on not. I was going to ask you how your cat figured out how to use the laptop.
Oh, to join Patreon.
Yeah. That's
funny.
This is your reputation. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, real Pastor Mike, thank you. That's great. Thank
you for joining us.
Great news.
Absolutely. Okay. Last tidbit. This is I don't even think you know about this.
What?
This is a weird one. I don't really even know how to like advertise this or share about this, but there's actually a backpacking and blisters app now.
Backpacking blisters app? Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I don't know if they have the Android version out. It's definitely on, your Apple App Store. And so it's like everything's housed in one spot. We're going to be adding to it, but right now it's got like, the latest episode. It's got the YouTube versions, YouTube shorts, like it's got kind of houses everything in the same place. I don't know if it's worth downloading or not, but somebody was willing to build us an app and thought it would be cool. And so
that is rad.
We got an app.
I'm going to promote that. Let's do it.
I don't know I don't know how it helps us.
Did you download the app?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I think they're still working on it because I didn't have like the latest episode, like this week's episode out, but it's it's like our logo on your home screen and it just says B&B. So
I like it.
Yeah.
All right. I'll check it out.
I don't know what that does. I don't know if it's helpful. I don't know why they wanted to build us an app, but I was like,
because they love us, Carl. They love us. They want to make our lives easier. The people. The
app builders.
The people who can do things that we can't, which are many.
That's everybody.
That's everybody.
Anyway, That's all I got.
That's all I got, guys. Thanks again. Thank you to Pastor Mike. Check us out on social media handles, everyone. We will see you next time. And remember, guys, if you're going to be ranking your friends, I did a long time ago. Carl's right at the top of my friends with the least amount of hair.